Okay, we're live.
All right. Sweet. All right. We're here to share some information with you about the Enneagram. Um, the Enneagram is a personality typology, and there are nine different personality types on the Enneagram. And the Enneagram is focused more on nature, a person's nature, than how they were nurtured. And it's also focused more on a person's motivations, not their behavior. So for the Enneagram, we can't type other people. We can't decide what type they are because we don't necessarily, we can have guesses at what their motivations are, but um we really don't know their motivations as much as we might think we do.
Hey guys, any trouble if we mistype someone?
Yes. Yes. And honestly, I do tend to type people in my head. Kind of what you were saying before we hit record, of to help me figure out like how to relate to them, so I might go, I think they're this type, or like what we're going to talk about today, I think they're in this stance,
Yeah,
or even in this time orientation zone, just as a way to help me know how to relate to them better. But it is important to keep in mind that we really shouldn't type people,
yeah.
tell them what their type is,
Mhm.
as much as we,
Yeah,
at least me, as a type one, wanting to tell people what they are,
yeah.
to be right.
Almost anyway. I I one time told someone their type and they were like, no, that's not me at all. I'm like, okay, sorry.
Whoops. um so the this there's three different stances, and there's three types of the nine assigned to each one of the stances. So there's the dutiful stance, the withdrawn stance, and the assertive stance. And the dutiful stance, one of the key differences between the three is that the dutiful stance, you move alongside other people to get needs met. And the withdrawn stance, you actually move away from people for fear of not having your needs met. And then the assertive stance moves towards people to get their needs met. So those are the real, like the key differences between the three. Um, and the dutiful types struggle with the boundaries needed in relationships, and the withdrawn types struggle with the constant interactions that wears them out. And the assertive stance struggles the most with negotiating and compromising regarding of relationships. So
Yeah,
sometimes people can experience the assertive stance as maybe even being overbearing because they're just pushing so hard to get their needs
yeah.
met. Um, my sister is in the assertive stance, and I'm in the dutiful stance. So there's times where I really struggle with knowing how to interact with her for that, because to me she seems so pushy, and then I don't know how to respond to that.
I am in the withdrawing stance, so I withdraw until I can't withdraw anymore, and then
Mhm.
I get very assertive. And I will express my needs, but it takes me a very long time to do
Mhm.
that. And in conflict, I just
Mhm.
wait until I get up against a wall where I have to
Mhm.
have conflict. So I think it's very interesting that each style has a, its own way of talking to people. So
Yeah.
I
So when you withdraw, do you withdraw physically as well as like mentally?
sometimes, yeah, I will close my door, or I would even go to the bathroom until if there was a heated hot topic going on in the office. I don't want to be a part of the debate. I will excuse myself if I don't want to be part of that.
Mm-hmm.
But when someone is in my face, I will almost return fire. And that's not good either. I
Yeah.
will even return fire.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. It's
But
hard.
the Enneagram really helped me to understand these styles of communication. So I'm very thankful that I have this thing we can go to.
Yes. Yes. I've really experienced the dutiful stance for myself lately with I don't know if I could quite call it a conflict at work slash church. So for the last several months, I've been leading worship a couple times a month for our morning and evening worship services. And in like late May, the church board decided that I couldn't lead worship anymore, but everyone else that's been leading still gets to lead. And it's just been very confusing for me. And um, I've had a couple follow-up conversations with a pastor, and one was well over a month ago, and he complimented me on how I was handling the situation so godly and just like accepting it and going along with it. And then I had another follow-up conversation with him last week, and I was like, I feel like it's unfair, and I feel
Mhm.
like I'm in trouble for something. And um it's not fair because all these other people still get to lead worship and I don't. And I said, it feels like because I'm the one that's on paid staff, I don't get to, but all these other volunteers get to.
And on the outside, you look very pleasant, but on the inside, you're like almost feeling like, why is going on?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I was also realizing that that type might, because I'm a type one, injustice is really important. Like that's what I'm really feeling in this situation is like the injustice of it. So in the conversation last week, the pastor was like, but I really appreciate like how you've handled it and you've been so reasonable. And I said, but yeah, like I'm tired of being reasonable.
You're like,
That I'm tired of being dutiful. Like that's what the dutiful person does. Like the right thing to do is not to get bent out of shape and not quit being on the worship team because I don't get to do this one thing,
no,
even if it's unfair. Like I just keep doing the right thing. But at a certain point, I'm like, I can't I can't just keep doing the dutiful thing. I mean, if God is asking me to, then I can. But if I'm just doing it for the sake of being dutiful,
no.
then
In
yeah,
fact, I withdraw to the point of I have to say something. I have to make my voice heard.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
It,
isn't that tough to know when to have? That's what I struggle with. Of like, okay, I made sure my voice was heard last week, but then the pastor, he didn't have a response and he was
yeah,
silent for many seconds. And then he is like, well, I'm gonna have to pray about that and get back to you. Yeah, it's been over a week and he didn't hasn't gotten back to me. So it's like, is that okay to let my voice be heard? Like,
yeah.
because I've noticed in my in a couple things I've said to people on the worship team and like, oh, I'm having some bitterness about this. So I can't just harbor that bitterness. So what do I do with it? So
That's very helpful. Pray about it and like talk to God about it. Like, yeah, it's hard, but
it
these
is hard.
these styles really help me like understand the where that justice comes from.
Yep. Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
talk about the orientation time
Yes.
and um and problem solving and making decisions. Um the one style is you make decisions by ready and file. Um and the second one is ready and file, and the third one is file and ready. And in the first one, um it's looking into the past and getting ready for to have all the research done, to have all the blueprints, to have all the, for me, it's getting all the travel quotes and tips on, and then never making the decision, never buying the ticket. So, um, they get stuck in the ready phase and tend to overthink everything and um and get lost in the would have, should have, could have mentality. I can't make this decision because I should have done this 5 years ago. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I should have went to, for me it's, I should have just went to seminary 20 years ago and got my practical counseling degree, and I wouldn't be here right now. So
Mm.
it's all based on what should have happened in the past, and they get stuck with figuring out all the other details, um, and this affects their hopes and dreams, and
Yeah.
that's why I have my program to write out your wants and dreams, because it's, if you write it out, you're more likely to do it than not.
Mm-hmm.
But the ready aim bio is really a perfectionist stance, um,
Mm-hmm.
and they get trapped in the I can't make the correct decision, so I won't make one.
Yeah.
They get they get stuck in the present. Like, what should I do now? What next step should I do? Like, wait a second. And I have people getting like paralyzed by this, and these people are stuck in the present and can't get out of the mud. Um, once I went to a Christmas party, and
Mm-hmm.
the lady said, bring, pick up people and carpool to my house so we won't have too many cars." So
Yeah.
it was icy out, it was muddy, so we all parked in a field by a house.
Mm.
And I was driving because the two people in my car were new to the town, and
Mm.
so I I got in my Subaru and we were trekked up the mountain. We got stuck in the mud.
Oh, wow.
Um, and of course I can drive, but I can't push a car out of the mud. So I needed to enlist the whole party to
Yeah.
get out of the mud. So it was like I I was stuck I couldn't turn left or right. I couldn't move. So
Yeah.
I needed help. One person pushed from behind, and one person helped with the front tires with
Hmm.
2x4 to train me out.
Oh, wow.
So the, I think of it as when we need help and we're stuck and we can't make
Mm.
decisions. We we can't yeah.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
We need people to come alongside us to help us to gather the
Mm.
information and say, okay, yes, you can buy your plane ticket now. It's, that's like my choice for you.
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
I'm always I can't travel because if so many details the day before. Um,
yeah.
the dude stands is ready. I'm sorry, fire and ready. These people do the thing and then um deal with the consequences later on, and they tend to make very quick judgments about things. Um they get stuck figuring out how they feel after the fact. Um
Hmm.
and they all about the future. They already have lived this vacation and
Hmm.
they, they just plan plane ticket and go and
Hmm.
don't think about the year of
Hmm.
the year of planning and research. One of my friends, he got his um tax refund check
Hmm.
Friday 1 year and he bought a plane ticket on Saturday. He just he, he flew out on Sunday. So
Wow.
he had
Don't you just want to do that sometimes, though?
oh
I
please
mean, like, even though we look at it and we're like, because neither of us are in the assertive stance, so we look at it and we're like, that's crazy. But also, like, how awesome to like not give thought to it and just do it because you feel like it.
so he he knew he wanted to spend his 30th birthday in Paris from
Wow.
the time he was like 15, 20. So in his mind, he's already in Paris.
Yeah.
So, so to me, it felt very abrupt. It felt very, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, what are you doing? But for him, it was, yeah, I had this planned for 10 years. I've
Yeah.
always known I was gonna, so it doesn't matter when I'm gonna buy my ticket. So, but those people are in the future focused and sometimes they tend to miss the little details. Like the first night, he didn't have a hotel reservation because he just didn't make one. So he ended up just walking into some place and saying, "Do you have a room?" And it worked out, but for someone really very famous, like it, it would have made me feel very
Yeah.
uneasy.
Yeah.
And I think the whole point of our discussion is to know, okay, there are people who just do the thing. There are people who just plan for the thing. And there are people who just get stuck in the mud and can't make a decision. And all three of these categories need someone to help them stay
Mhm.
okay now. This
Mhm.
time, and they can benefit from a coach or a spiritual director or counselor
Yes.
to say, hey, you saved for 10 years for this trip. It's okay. You better take it.
Exactly. It's okay to fire.
Thank you for
Yeah.
some. Do you have any more thoughts before we end things? Or,
Um, yeah, just that. So just that. I don't, did you say what the dutiful types and the withdrawn types were their orientation to time?
the assertive stance is future oriented, the withdrawn stance is past oriented, and the dutiful stance is in the present.
Mm-hmm.
So if you find yourself in conflict with someone who always wants things yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
I'll be in the assertive stance.
Mm-hmm.
The, the only thing is done. So they, oh, they can get better with this.
Mm-hmm.
You, when I'm still working on it, I'm like,
Yeah.
did I do yet? Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple things to add to that is when I didn't when I so I've known about the Enneagram for 10 years, and I don't think I heard anything about the orientation to time part until just a couple years ago. And I think it was maybe in Amy's podcast that she talked about it and mentioned that the dutiful stance is in the present. And it just made so many things like made so clear for me because one of my brothers is in the assertive stance, and I remember him asking me like, well, what's your 10-year plan? And I'm just like, that's so overwhelming to me. How can I make a plan for 10 years from now when I don't even know what tomorrow was going to look like?
Mm.
And some of that is, from a Christian perspective, we don't know how long we have on this earth, and so we have to lean on God to help us make plans. But just some of that is just my inability to
Yeah.
naturally be able to dream. And so when I learned that, I was like, oh, that like clears up so much for me.
Yeah.
And then as I've grown, noticing in the last couple years, sorry, that's my baby rabbit trying to get out. No,
Oh,
Henry, nobody, no. Um, that what was I saying? I lost my train of thought. I have no idea what I was gonna say.
the bunny's so cute.
I know he is.
So you were noticing the country again.
Oh yeah. Okay, so in the last couple years, I've noticed like I'm being able to start planning for the future and just start dreaming about it. Like maybe it's not gonna. I think probably part of it is I can't plan for the future because it may not be perfect. I might not be able to perfectly have it all work out like I want it to. So I get hung up on that. But if I think about it as like I can have this dream for the future, even if it doesn't work out, it's okay. But I can still dream. And then there's a lady that I work with, and when I first started working with her, it drove me nuts because I would like we were in a church office, so I would say, for example, do you think it's okay for me to take this planter home and use it at home? Because otherwise it's just going to sit in the church basement for 100 years until someone cleans the basement again. And she'd be like, oh, well, Marilyn, she was our admin, and Marilyn bought those, and she would tell me this whole story, and I'm like,
The past. The
I don't care.
relative.
I don't know who Marilyn is. I mean, I don't actually really even care about Marilyn.
I'm like,
She's not here anymore. I just want my question answered. There's so many times that I will ask her a question and it won't get answered because she'll have to tell me the backstory. I'm like, I
no,
don't care about the backstory. So those kinds of things, that is where it's helpful. Then I can kind of go, I can't type her, but I'm like, okay, she definitely has an orientation to the past.
yeah, yeah. And for me, I am in the past, so I have a history degree. I only read classic books, and my favorite thing to do is to go to a museum. It's never shock that I am in the oriented to the past. And
Yeah.
in my office, whenever there's a problem, I preface it by, in the past, we did this. And my boss is very future oriented. And
Yeah.
he's a cure. He just said, I don't care about what we did 10 years ago. I need this done today.
Yeah.
And just get it done now.
Yeah.
Like, it used to frustrate me to no end. And now I'm like, okay, he's a month in the future, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
still playing Dragon Title
Mm-hmm.
this month, or
Mm-hmm.
still trying to make sense of what happened with this employee who left 10 years
Mm-hmm.
ago because of issues
Yeah.
we're still having with present employees.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
whole oriented time thing has really softened me to
Mm-hmm.
people because it's like, okay, I know that they're just trying to help
Mm-hmm.
in whatever time frame.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
Well, and sometimes it is really helpful to know the history of something, and
yeah,
because it does inform decisions you're making today or in a month. But yeah, to me, I'm like, but if I'm just asking a simple question like, do you think I can take this pot home? Like, yeah, but for sure there's great benefit of knowing the history or the past. So yeah.
okay,
But
well,
I think that the decision making aspects, the stances and the orientation to time is a really helpful way to not type other people, but to kind of go like, okay, I think they have this orientation to time, or this is probably their stance. And so, like you've been saying, then you can decide how you need to interact with them, and it helps give context to that without like actually, you don't know what type they actually are necessarily, but it does help.
I will never again tell and challenge you to challenging these things in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for having this conversation to be
Yeah.
able
Really good.
to people who we are. What do you want to tell people who you are in your businesses?
Oh yeah. So I'm Elisa Sauer, and my business is called Joyful Health. And I help women with their emotional, physical, or spiritual health to get using a holistic approach to get joy found in Christ alone. What about you?
I'm here, Craig, and I help women with disabilities, chronic illnesses, thrive by ensuring community rest and play into their lives.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.